Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Saturday Morning Cartoons. It's good to be back. And hello, Jim. Welcome to the show. We have a good one for you today. Classic from 1987, The Jetsons Meet The Flintstones. This is after the big hit of stuff like He-Man and all the other cartoons coming up into early to mid 80s. Hanna-Barbera trying to make a big comeback. So he started releasing some animated movies, some new shows, and eventually led to the sort of unfortunate trend of turning their shows into Flintstones kids and Tom and Jerry kids. But this was before that somewhat of a disaster. If you want to watch along, the pinned comment has a link to Cosme. Let's get this started. 7:30. That'd be a great time to get up. Oh, that hurts. Ouch. Wow, that alarm clock plays dirty. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. Doing a little acting today, trying to finish up Breach 4. There will be a Breach 5, by the way. It's a
That's
long
good to
one.
hear.
Yeah. Did you catch any of my lives yesterday?
No, I only got home maybe about 1 o'clock my time yesterday.
In the morning?
I was out of commission for most of the week.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you had internet or computer problems.
Not quite.
Yeah, you gotta watch the second one, the open stream chat about the last hour or two. Old Scotty went berserk last night. Holy crappies. It was crazy. But I did finally get two people to join uh, the membership perks, so that's good.
Oh, nice.
We got Scotty and Sci-Fi Nation.
No, that's good.
It's a start.
Yeah.
That's good. You're back up and running. You're back in the game and ready to rock and roll.
Yeah. Much better than where I've been the last 5 days.
Yeah, probably bored to heck, huh?
Oh yeah, it's unfortunately not the first time I've done it, but it's not an experience I'd really recommend.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's like me. I go out there and mow lawns right now. We're mulching leaves, but of course it's going to be next Tuesday. We start back out since we got Monday off. Damn, long ass weekend.
Yeah.
And the Jetsons, I haven't seen the Jetsons in eons. that brings back a lot of memories when I was a little squirt sitting there watching TV, and mom's like, "Is that all you gonna do all day? Is watch TV?" Hey, be quiet! I'm watching the Jetsons. Leave me alone.
Hey, Dig.
Hey, hello. As you were, Commodore.
Yeah,
How you doing?
yeah, we're doing good. We're doing a little acting today. I'll be probably coming and going. I got one scene done, and it's doing the cutting process right now.
I have done much editing, not the same kind, but I have done
Yeah.
much editing. My little Star Trek project kind of blew up on me yesterday. I was very happy. YouTube
Oh,
tried
really?
to kill it. YouTube tried to kill it.
Wow.
In 11 hours, they showed it to 600 people. So I went home and made some phone calls. It's up to 700 views.
Huh.
It's worked all my social media ties. Rescued that upload from what YouTube wanted for it. 1.1% fucking click-through rate.
Yeah, I did a live stream. It was years ago and had over 700 people. I'm like, oh, ain't this sweet? All drones, I guess, or bots or whatever.
The number you mentioned does pique my curiosity because that's the magic number of double bot swarms.
Yeah, well, this is about probably 5 to 6 years ago, though.
The thing is,
That's when the bots came out.
Yep. Were you critical of new Star Trek? These voices suck. Did you criticize new Star Trek?
Did I criticize new Star Trek? No.
Did you say like STD sucks or I don't like new Star Trek ever on the air?
Nope. I don't criticize any of my Star Trek at all.
Okay. I don't know why it happened to you, but we're pretty sure, in our opinion, that it's Paramount. The reason we say that is as soon as they got sold, it stopped. They were doing that to me every weekend.
Huh. No, I watch every Star Trek, good or bad. I don't criticize it at all. I don't really believe in that. I mean, it's like when I first started doing my fan films, everybody loved the stuff. But then when it went to NerdTube and they criticized one, everybody hated my first video. But now,
I mean, if you're talking about the nerd tube with Zam and the other two guys, okay. First of all, they're kind of okay. They do love new Star Trek, but if it makes you feel any better, I watched about 10 minutes of them doing a special called "Fascism Has Won." So I don't think they're gonna be very happy for the next 48 months.
Yeah, I used to be on there watching the videos, making reviews and that, and I really had fun and everything, but didn't really bash any kind of Star Trek at that time.
They did not want me on that show after they had me as a guest, and like they said, so we love Strange New Worlds. What do you think? I said, I think you guys have no fucking taste.
Yeah.
And from there, like Zam and I are okay, but the other two guys, like Rage of Mage, is okay, but who's the American guy who thinks he's really smart and he's like, this use of the Betazoid to detect the founders is absolutely in line with Star Trek, and it's not. Like that asshole, I can't take that guy.
Cheeto, I think it is.
I don't know. I like Rage of Mage and I like Sam. There's a third guy who's just like,
yeah.
Not only does he like new Star Trek, he's militantly mean. It's like he's like, what made it wrong? I'm like, well, Betazoids can't do that, and he's like, you're just rooting for everyone else. I'm like, there are whole Star Trek, encyclopedias that he could have looked at to avoid this mistake. He's like, it's obscure. I'm like, it's episode 2 of Deep Space Nine.
Wow. Yeah,
their Star Trek knowledge was up their ass.
Yeah,
nice guys.
They brought me back on their channel and did Strange New Worlds season 1. I did pretty good. I missed one. I got
that was where that was where I was on their show during Strange New Worlds, and I couldn't stop laughing at them. I was laughing at everything they said, and I couldn't stop laughing. And I told them they had no fucking taste, and I said, like, why not just play the Star Trek music and make hand shadows on the fucking wall if you think this is good?
Yeah.
It didn't go well, but I gained 40 subs.
There you go. Got to do what you got to do, I guess.
They'd seen my show. They knew I hated the new Star Trek. They asked me to come on, and I was just like not going to sit there and like agree with it. They're like, and then Picard and Riker met, and that was a great scene. And I'm like, it was? Like, I just basically argued every word they said. It was uncool as a guest, but I was still new.
Yeah.
Now you can sit there and say just about everything, and I'll just like sit there behind my avatar and just let you do it.
You know, I had fun and everything, but I don't know why that they brought me back and never invited me back. But oh well.
Their show. It's their show. They had John twice.
Yeah.
I do 10 times their views. What the hell do you care?
Yeah.
There's no money and there's no viewership in endorsing terrible TV and attacking people who ask you with good reason why you think it's good. There's no money in it. There's no viewership in it. No one wants to. What do people tune into that show for? Honestly, their Star Trek analysis is mediocre because they like the new Star Trek. Throws all their reviews into doubt. And they even have some hostility towards original Star Trek.
Yeah.
Well, Zam as much as said that the show sucks, but he likes to see trans and gay people on TV. I got along with him best because he was honest.
Yeah.
Here's the one on paper. He's, quote, the weirdest, but he's all right.
That's interesting.
He was the only one who ever came on my show. He was honest, too. He was like, yeah, I don't think it's very good. You know, he was all right compared to the rest of them.
Yeah.
None of them were mean, though. None of them were dicks. There was one guy I could not agree with. This is from 87. Their voices are wrong.
They're not the original voices in some cases, but they did have to make a few exceptions, seeing as this is about 20 years after the fact.
And those people died. Fred's voice is real good. Barney is real good.
Barney is still Mel Blanc.
It's still Mel. So this is Mel Blanc died in 85. Maybe I'm off by a year or two. All right.
He died in 89.
Kyle MacLachlan. Did he? Okay, sorry. Here's Kyle MacLachlan. It's weird that he's like an ancestor of Cogswell, right? He looks just like Cogswell from the Jetsons. I guess we won't see him in this one.
Oh, we'll see Cogswell.
Did they change the way he looks? Because this is there's Cogswell, huh?
Yeah.
They made him fat to make him look different. The Cogswell looked exactly like Slate, and that's Slate too. Slate used to be a short, bald guy, remember? With hair on the sides.
Yeah.
Flintstone.
After the original, they developed him a bit. But back in the day, they had to do very basic drawings. That's just the business model for Hanna-Barbera.
Oh, there you go. All right, guys, I got to take off and get some more acting done. Y'all have a good day and take care, and I'll keep on watching.
Break a leg, Boone.
Good to see you, Jim.
Bye bye.
Thanks for stopping by.
You're welcome.
Jim's a good guy. Corporate espionage. How do you like that? Oh my God, George Jetson sounds 70. He is, right? It's the original voice.
I believe so. Giorgio Hanel.
He sounds old, doesn't he? It's like the Indiana Jones cartoon at the beginning of Dial of Destiny, where he's like,
"Oh yeah,
don't mess with me."
He was born in 1912.
So he's 75 years old on the nose.
Yeah.
Since Mel Blanc did both, I've always had a question. Why did Barney go from sounding really drunk to simply sounding very stupid? But he always had a Jersey accent. What was the deal with changing that?
That was voice actor.
So wait, they leveled up to Mel Blanc season 2 or something? Or they lost in season 3?
And after the first, when they transitioned to color, they realized most of their audience was actually
children,
mostly younger children. Because originally,
this was supposed to be like The Simpsons.
Originally, Flintstones was supposed to be sort of Simpsons-ish, but they didn't quite grab the adult market.
I think what happened was it
went down slowly.
It's too familiar. This was running at the same time as the show it took from, The Honeymooners. This is The Honeymooners as a cartoon. And there are exact plots that are lifted. All 12 Honeymooners episodes are somewhere in the 50 to 70 Flintstones episodes. But we've cut things like Fred smoking cigarettes.
Yeah, right? It became... about... I don't know what time during the run, it became illegal to advertise cigarettes with cartoons.
It became illegal to advertise cigarettes after The Simpsons were over. The only reason I know that, I remember TV commercials for cigarettes. It was illegal to run them during children's shows, though, I think.
Yeah.
The stupidest product ran during the smartest show. I remember watching commercials for cigarettes watching TV with my dad real young. It was on 60 Minutes. Well, my dad was really nice. He would watch whatever I wanted to watch just so he could hang out with me. So you had a 35-year-old man watching Warner Brothers with me. And the only thing that he made me watch was the Jets, because not everyone should get off easy. And he let me watch that. Hold on, I think my exterminator is here.
Wow, for a middle management AI assistant, he has a lot of access. Yeah, have Rubble do all of the risky stuff. Well, yeah, they're not going to let the spider play. He cheats. Well, Rubble's really getting into the role. That's almost impossible.
How about that instant satisfaction for Jim? We found out the guys from NerdTube are devastated about Trump.
Yeah, that's not too surprising.
Oh, you've watched their show? I mean, they're not bad. I disagree with them on Star Trek. I think they're nice enough guys.
Yeah. But clearly on one side of the fence.
This was a really overwhelming election. If you didn't agree with the results, it's time to shut up and wait it out. Come up with a better idea that people are going to want to hear, because the Democrats had not had a primary in 8 years and have completely lost touch with everybody. They ran someone that even their people couldn't like. But when
They
people
haven't
say
had a primary since 08.
right, and that because they called off the Hillary one, so that's getting to be ridiculous. 17 years is too long. And they ran the least sympathetic. Even people who are Democrats are saying things like, I'll get through it with Harris. The reason why you don't see the level of upset that you had before was because no one said the other person might have been okay, or I thought that the other person had a case that they should have won. Like, this person got tub thumped. It wasn't close. There wasn't division about it.
Yeah, that helps.
It doesn't help if you voted for the guy who lost, but you've had one, don't cope publicly. People just gonna drink your tears. I stayed off the air all week, not because I was for or against anyone, but because I didn't want to be caught up in the outer umbra of what was promised to be an explosion that no one wanted any part of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this is a good strategy.
It happens. Hey, look, the time. Oh, there we go. That was just my Cosme.
Yeah, Elroy's starting a time travel escort business.
Why does he have a genie?
That's just who got picked up by the machine.
She's absolutely indistinguishable from Judy. In their movie, it's not drawn very well. This was in theaters, this thing.
The Jetsons movie was. This one, I don't believe ever made it to theaters. The VHS release.
You're right. Okay. They're both within 6 months of each other, though. These people just plowed through and did both. Betty sounds like the original Betty, but Wilma does not sound like Rocky the Flying Squirrel anymore.
Wilma is Jean Vanderpel.
How old is she at this? What year was she born? Does it say? 1940 or 1910?
1919.
Yeah, it's the first voice. She's just mad old. I guess Fred was the only one who died of embarrassment, or is he just also affected because he's really old? Look, they're at Stonehenge, and they didn't even have the good sense to make it look brand new. That is a weirder Dino, man. He cannot have irises. He has to just have black marks for eyes. He can't have eyeballs. He needs eyes like Elroy. We can't bring you, Astro. You'll become feral. Wasn't the robot? What's her face? Joan. What's her name?
Rosie.
Rosie is what's her name?
Yeah, it's same voice actress.
I'm blanking. Yeah, but isn't it? It's the same. But isn't the voice actress Joan? What's her name from the comedian? She had her own TV show. She was up against Carson. She wrote Rabbit Test. I don't know why I'm blanking on her name.
And this one, it is
Joan
Jean
Rivers. Rosie's
It's
Jean
a very
whatever.
good impression.
It sounds
Yeah,
just like
it's
Joan
Jean
Rivers.
Pyle. She did the voice for both Wilma and Rosie.
Why we keep them away from each other. Don't be a voice actor. God, working at 75, 85.
Oh, they
What was
can
it
work
like-
at 75, 85. It's very good. Not very hard work.
At this point, it's proving beyond everybody but Mel Blanc, though. Everybody's voice is different and could be a different person because they've aged so much.
Yeah.
I'd rather
Hey,
this than a
LDG.
recasting, though. Hey, Pickles, what's up?
Yeah, they did a great job on all the voice casting.
Some of the color choices were off. Like Fred and Barney's beard was always a shade of gray. Now it's like distractingly yellow. You notice how Barney said foist? He's from New Jersey. They gave Barney a really strong New Jersey accent. It's really close to where I live. The accent's not much different, but if you know, you know. And also, Mel Blanc was from like Brooklyn. He loved doing New York City area voices. Maybe he was from Manhattan. You have a time machine. You have nothing but time, asshole.
Now, Germ, do you think that I'm doing the time travel correctly?
Well, yeah, they're doing for a cartoon. You gotta give cartoons get a little bit more leeway than live action.
I think this is a better time travel movie than 12 Monkeys, which is a pile of shit.
Yeah, 12 Monkeys is pretty much indefensible.
Unforgivably bad. Sorry, Bruce Willis. We love you, but that movie.
Hey, Connie, welcome to the show.
Hello, Connie.
We're getting well into the movie right now. The pinned link is at top if you want to watch along on Cosme.
And both of us are offended at this time travel. This time travel is bad, but not anywhere near as bad as a lot of movies. The proper way to say this, irony intended, is they really condensated down to us, didn't they?
Well, yeah, it's meant for like 8-year-olds.
Still, their time travel is as good as Terminator 2. We have a machine. It turns on and you go through time. That's all we got from that movie.
Yeah,
I didn't
that's all you
leave.
really
I
need.
didn't walk out. Yeah, I didn't. Stories with time travel, okay. Stories about time travel, fuck them.
Yeah.
The women are smarter. This is science fiction for sure. The women are smarter.
Yeah, that's sort of how it works out with Fred Flintstone.
Now, Germ, you realise that it have to be a time and space travel machine for them to go and land on solid terra firma. It's absolutely ridiculous.
That sucks. Our gag was just to bloat runtime.
Well, the entire movie is the bullet runtime.
You might be right. They really don't give a shit about being a good version of these cartoons that much. Still better than Agatha all along.
Yeah. They'll get to the meat of it in about 20 minutes, I
Look,
think.
Star Trek V steals that idea.
Yeah,
I don't understand a lot of the dialogue. Did he call him Mr. Fleshstone?
No, it's just his accent.
Aside from the future, is there like ever? Do we ever get anything but a fictional name for where they live?
It's just the standard stuff for the Jetsons. I believe it's Orbit City.
That sounds about. But what's the deal? Just Elroy always was hard to under fucking stand.
Well, the guy doing the voice is Dawes Butler, and he is less than a year from dying when he did
Yeah,
this.
he's 80. Rip Elroy. The strange thing is because he's from the future, he'll be born in another 200 or 300 years and have to go through it all again. I wish they had hired one or two joke writers for the jokes. One issue we have going on here. Think it with me. Tell me if I'm wrong about this. We got people from the 1930s as far as like when they were living and doing their thing and getting married and hanging out and dancing and drinking and having a good time. Writing a story about people from the future and from even further in the past than them. But they themselves have colloquialisms that are frozen between 1935 and 1960. What do you think of that?
They're trying to stick to what they used in the original broadcast for the shows.
They're
Going
using
up to 87, it puts them about 20 years behind date.
Oh, I've got to say 30. I got to say that they're not saying anything that was an expression or hip past 1959. Honestly, I just frozen at the last episode of the Flintstones. They're using colloquial expressions I have heard but do not understand that are from like the 1940s.
Yeah, but they were very
Like-
common during the 33 to or the 63
63
to 67.
Yeah, they were. They weren't the language of the people from those times. See Scooby-Doo for their idea, for Hanna-Barbera's idea of that, but most of the dialogue, the writers and the people writing the dialogue are from the 1930s and 40s, and so they talk like it's the 30s and 40s. Best way I could put it.
Yeah, and that's intentional because that's how they talked in the original series. They didn't want to change the colloquialisms or any of the real design of characters or the structure of it.
Right. We don't want anything too that isn't a little bit timeless. A couple of these expressions had passed over the rainbow and shouldn't have been used. Like I think the thing that brought this to mind was Fred said by Jack Robinson, and I think the original saying is by Jack Rabbit Slim. So we're talking pep talk from like the Prohibition era. It's like a half century since people have said these things when this came out, and now this is 40 years old, and well, just about.
It starts slowly getting a little bit more updated, especially when you get to the Judy stuff.
What do you mean, within the dialogue of this or in general?
Within the dialogue and a lot of stuff, it gets more 80s.
somebody did a second look at the script, or that was safe that would use to have Judy say things that made sense and were slightly contemporary. They made a couple of mistakes with in my opinion, it was a mistake to use an expression that I wouldn't have known then and don't know now. I don't know what that means, but they bedrockified it, so it was really hard to figure out what they meant.
But it helps more for the authenticity, and because if you grew up watching these shows like the parents did at the time, they would appreciate it more for the aesthetic of it.
I've heard worse songs in cartoons. Oh wow, look, it's David Bowie.
Yeah, it's the type of music they used to put into the Jetsons.
It's
They
modern
really didn't do
effort,
that too much
actually.
with the Flintstones.
Oh yeah, the music was kind of part of the Jetsons. I mean, the most famous episode with Jet Screamer.
Hey, Outlaw, good morning.
Hey, what's up, man? We missed Thursday Night Football this week. We didn't save America from the world's worst in-game analysis.
Yeah, I heard that game didn't go so well on every level.
What do you mean? I had to work, like I had really early work time, so I fell asleep like watching it. What happened?
No offense. The broadcasters, from what I was told, kind of appeared drunk. Thankfully, I didn't watch it myself, but
kind of appeared drunk, or were acting like assholes? Because they always act like assholes.
I don't know. I'm just going off of the complaints of a guy in the corresponding.
That's them every week. Does he watch the game every week, or was his team playing that week on Thursday night?
I think it was Bengals and someone else.
Right. Was he only watching it for his team, or was he familiar with how bad Amazon is? Because you can't tell whether they're drunk or not.
I have no idea. He's just shouting a lot.
Now, you'll get a laugh out of this, but think about how it feels. The Jets are the worst team in the history of the world, correct?
They got an argument.
No championship, 55 years and counting, and not going to happen this year. They got more than an argument. They have like almost a slam dunk. Anyway, they win a game.
Still the Browns.
The Browns won like 3 straight championships before they renamed it the Super Bowl. They hypothetically have like 2 championships. Though that Browns team,
yeah,
okay, that Browns
team is Baltimore,
right? And they've won 3 Super Bowls since they moved. and have the best quarterback in all of football. So the Jets win, and what does Amazon do? They bring on a chick who's a comedian who does 20 minutes of anti-Jet shtick. Just shtick for 20 minutes. No highlight replays, no analysis. Just, I guess she's going to be on an Amazon comedy, so they tried to cross promote her. And her thing was she's from Boston. She hates the Jets. So even though they beat the Patriots, she did it as though they lost and went after their entire history from day one till now for 20 straight minutes while they all sat there and laughed. That was the post-game analysis of the Jets win.
Well, they're expecting the Patriots to pull it out, so
It doesn't matter
to run the Jets down.
But the thing is that you should never do that to the fans of any team, let alone after they win. And they'll cut to an angle and the camera will be pointed at the top of the stadium, not at the stands, but at like the top of the stadium. Their blimp shot was the blimp shot of the parking lot, and then you saw them like physically try to shove the camera in place to point it at the stadium. They couldn't pull off basic directing. When someone gets hurt, they linger on the injury and do not stop talking about it until you're not in the mood for football. And Ryan Fitzpatrick dresses like an asshole and acts like he's on goofballs, and so does Richard Sherman. That pregame show is a total loss because all it's got going for it is the chick is hot. Carissa whatever is hot. But everything else is just an absolute disaster.
No, that didn't work out too well for him. And he wasn't even cheating compared to
Barney's
the
hair
other guy.
looks terrible. Barney's hair looks terrible, doesn't it?
It's a little bit more tightly drawn than the original.
I meant the color. It really sucks. Is that a Star Trek joke? Because that was like when they reprogrammed the computer to be female.
A little bit. It's
It speaks the same exact way. It's always weird when they care more about cause and effect than people who make real movies. This is dumb, but there's a cause and effect to why these things happen.
Yep.
Mr. Cogs, Mr.
Spacely.
Spacely, he looks like Slate 1.0.
Yeah, I think the original idea was they were brothers or something like that, but they abandoned that before the show actually started.
What, Slate 1.0 and Spacely in the Jetsons or in this movie?
In lore overall for Jetsons, that Spacely and Cogswell were
Would be
related.
brothers. It would have explained a lot of their rivalry, but it was too mean for them to be brothers. It was a smart choice. Like, they just hated each other. They couldn't have been brothers. It was too depressing, right?
A little bit, yeah.
The Jetsons and the Flintstones have the most depressing meta. I just realized it's really all about the fact that all the main characters have basically spent most of each episode fired, haven't they?
No, it's mainly Fred and Barney pull some shenanigans, try to get rich, and a lot of the Jetsons was George trying to deal with his kids.
Fred and Barney are Ralph and Ed Norton, and they do exactly the same shit that those two would do. They're always hatching a get rich quick scheme, and the episodes write themselves to a degree. And I'm not saying it's bad; it's actually pretty good.
Yeah. George is more of a family man in his episodes.
Whenever work comes in, though, it's just they're fired or they just don't get enough to get by.
Yeah, George is always honking for a promotion that he probably doesn't deserve. All he does is press a button.
And the first person whose line was "You're fired" was Mr. Spacely, man. He used to say it to Jetson every week. Jetson got fired a lot or told to come up with something genius or be fired.
Yeah. That was a very common Spacely threat, but he never really followed through to it.
Because George always sort of came through. Bad version of what he was asked to do. Just a space.
And George was the only employee.
George does seem to have been the only employee. We never see anyone else at Spacely Sprockets. Mechanical Snowdub's not down with that shit, huh?
Nope.
The robots have a love interest.
Well, one of them does.
Dude, every robot I know has a relationship. Lando's robot dates Lando. Bender goes to the girls who don't say no. Data has Tasha.
Broncos and Chiefs. OBSN tomorrow. That'll be an interesting one.
All right. I don't know how much of that I can do. What time is it? I'm behind on is that
later.
the last game of the day? I'm behind on my promise to deliver 1883 to the people on my channel. Then again, I finally had a whole week of work last week, which was great. Just money, it's like a great thing.
That is a 1 a.m. or 1 p.m. game for you.
Yeah, I can do it. So that'll be me, Outlaw Bill, and the Padawannabe. Although if it's on up against the Jets, I don't know. Oh no, the Jets' next game is tomorrow at 4:25. It's when our march to the Super Bowl begins, Germ.
Yeah, Super Bowl 100.
It's true. Demon Pig is happy.
She is really spoiling that garbage disposal.
She doesn't know the technology. She thinks it's a pet. It's weird that his first thought is that when he has to get back in time so he can get fired, and his second thought is he might not get there to get fired. No one realizes they could just ask Rosie. How would she know what a button is?
Oh, they have plenty of buttons in Bedrock. They're just made out of gravel pieces.
You know, we just had a political event. One guy talked about tampons a lot. What are the tampons like in Bedrock? Is it just also a tamp rock?
Probably best not to think about that.
That's the first time in a while, and maybe in this cartoon, that we've bothered using the rules of cartoon physics to have some fun.
Such loyalty to a long-term employee.
That would be something I'd be worried about if I was stuck a million years in the past. How to get along great there was they put no effort into returning to the future, although they don't have the tech, right?
Yeah, it's literally impossible for Elroy to do in any way, shape, or form engineer up another time machine.
They need to call Dave Filoni's wife and get some witches into this cartoon. And our one new original character. I figured I would just do Fred's job while I'm stuck living here.
No, Fred doesn't have a job.
Oh, he got fired again. See, everybody's job's in deep jeopardy all the time. Everybody's just got these bad Northeast accents. The Feist, Wonder of the Wild. That flying belt, though, like that's like a legacy Jetsons thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think George invents it in like there's one whole episode about it. He doesn't get it right for a while. Wow, for the first time ever, we saw her up his shorts. They have tighty whities on underneath their togas. 40 years of wondering, Germ, was it worth it?
This isn't news to me.
What did she just want? A bunch of things made from rock?
She bought Bloomingdale's.
They're making a reference to Tower Records gone for 40 years.
Yeah, but in 1987 is the biggest
hip.
record company on earth.
No, it was a retailer. They're all over the Northeast. Okay, this is Cartoon Carson.
Yep.
Real Carson has like 3 years left as an entertainer. There's fake Joan Rivers.
Yeah, that can be a problem if your appliances can unionize.
In this world, if you work your digger dinosaurs so hard that they go on strike, you can sell your company to an unwilling third party and have them clean up the mess. I love that.
Oh, he's completely willing. He just Slate didn't tell him about the union strike.
I think he also said he signed something making him the majority partner before he ran out the door. So I think the idea is he ransacks his own company and sets it up to fail.
Yeah, the smart one.
Oh, that's great. Hey, Homer, say hello to the Plow King, huh? Judy would be very comfortable in a Disney cartoon with that attitude, huh?
Yeah.
Now, that was a mistake. They should have said they wanted their original lives back because they're older now than they were when they were born.
Yeah, I'd say he'd been thinking with his dick, but all he is a computer screen. If the Broncos can beat the Chiefs, this will be the best week in human history. The Swifties will have beaten twice this week, and I'm calling if it happens.
I think that's a tall order. The Chiefs, if they're coming off a loss, like isn't the Broncos quarterback Bonix, right? He sucks. We watched the Jets game. I mean, we watched the Broncos game. I'd be happy for the Jets to play them. The other thing you gotta love is that the show's outlook is that the lying bully who wouldn't let his friend do anything cool is actually morally right because everything goes wrong for the person who stands up for themselves.
And there goes Barney.
Back to New Jersey with you. All you've got to do is write down the things you don't like on a piece of rock and give them to someone else, and that's it. Your problems are gone. I love this world. I don't want to sound semi-Christ-like here, but my upload is up to 665 views. It's the semi-Christ.
Be at 700 before the end of the day, easy.
Not gonna lie, I want the validation of a 1-day 1,000, right?
Yeah, that'd
I've
be
done
nice.
it. I did it twice last month. I want a fucking hat trick. My powers have doubled since last we met, Count. And welcome, everybody. Hit those like and follow buttons. It was interesting to hear from Commodore that he also had been subject to a very similar number attack of a very similar nature.
Yeah. Those bot numbers tend to be very common.
700's the magic number, and 350. We do our exchanges here in even whole numbers. It always works out, but it's just different whole numbers than you'd expect. 750 or 725 is one unit of Boostify bots. Or actually, they're not really bots. They're real accounts that do subscribe to you. Whether or not anyone has them is unknown, but they don't interact.
They're probably just zombie accounts.
I have looked at some of our friends who have used them, and they are recently all going down.
I think YouTube finally figured out how to wipe out a zombie.
It's getting some of them. Wow. Weird stuff.
Just scared
He
Iggy
has-
sober.
He's got great hair for the 80s. Thanks to everybody who's watching. Please hit the like and follow buttons for our pal Resolute Germ. It's at 667 now. The omen washed right across us. How'd it feel? Did you feel the presence of evil there?
Constantly. But
Feel
that's
like
a
we
side
kind of
effect of my current religion.
worshiping Mammon.
Not quite. Nurgle.
Have you converted to like voodoo or something?
I have converted to the cult of chaos of Nurgle.
Nerval? What's that?
That's a Warhammer thing, and when I get the Warhammer video out, it's going to make a lot more sense.
Oh, okay.
Most of the channels focus on Space Marine stuff and Loyalists. I'm going to take the point of view of a Death Guard.
You had been talking about taking the point of view of a less well-known character so you could give some context on the world. I think it's a great idea. With me, I just rode the back of a trend, right? We took a 58-year-old episode of a show that was canceled like in 3 seasons, and it's just setting the world on fire. That's all.
Yep.
It's almost as though the people who changed that show are proven wrong by my video.
Yeah, they don't seem to appreciate that very much.
I'm expecting an ion storm tonight. How about you?
Oh, every night.
It's amazing how many nights we don't have them. They seem to
Yeah,
have
I think they're not. I don't think the money's flowing out to the surrogates as much as it used to be.
They also changed their behavior in a radical way. They were active weekdays during the day instead of weekends at night. They don't seem to be able to cover both.
Yeah, it's because I don't think
Not a
they.
lot of money.
Yeah, they don't have a lot of money, and
The creators
since
have a
they're
ton
not-
of money. They're not going to spend
Yeah.
any of it. They're only using the money that they can extort from their corporate overlords, in my opinion. Sorry, I just wanted to clear that up.
Yeah, since they're not the ones actually taking the action directly. They're surrogates, like certain people on YouTube don't have as many resources to spread it around, so they're having to
And they
pick
can't
and
be
choose their targets, and they
they
can't
can't be
target
awake all
as
the
much.
time. We don't have the level of automation yet for the bot storm to create itself. It seems to take 40 minutes to create it, and then it can only go for about 40 minutes. There's some kind of cap on this. It's if you go 40 minutes, and figure that there's 10 minutes on either end of that. That's a very billable like amount of time. It's 2 hours.
Yeah.
We always get attacked for very billable amounts of time with very billable amounts of drones.
Hey, you caught the wrong dog. Not the first
Oh.
time he saved his life.
Oh wow! Somebody just the first person has been converted by our Doomsday Machine video and has joined my channel. Took a while,
That's
but it
great.
happened. Took a while. Please don't make it 17 to 25 hours of editing per subscriber. That would be horrible. But yeah, I'm glad. You know what's going through my mind really about the upload more than anything else is that because the episode it's about is so very, very old, is the viewing of it in fact hot? Or is this just a demand that exists to watch that episode and therefore a constant? So while it will drop off,
I
is it
think
going to
it's
end
more
up?
of a constant.
It's going to be. I think this could be a constant. We might see something get 10,000 views over. But I mean, it'll take like 3 years.
Yeah.
But I think we're looking at this is if I make one video this dependable every month, be interesting. Batman Cape Crusader does similar numbers.
Yeah, I think a series of just running big episodes through the Matrix like that would do pretty well.
Off the air without anybody to talk to. Corporate chain of custody just does not make sense in this world, but hey. What was it like when they had to help the old man into his chair to do the voice of the child? It's Jurassic Park. The Flintstones did it first. Wow. I don't know if this is a statistical anomaly or the kind of thing we were just talking about, showing that it's true. 30 people watched it in the last like 10 minutes.
Wow.
It fucking blew my
Very
mind. It's
good.
like 665 to 696 in like 4 minutes. I feel like Doomcock for 1 minute. That's more like 5 seconds of Doomcock's life, but you get the feeling.
Yeah. Very good movie. Actually, the first time I saw the Flintstones or the Jetsons was this movie.
It's pretty good. It's on the level or better of the shows. So, I mean, for this world and this kind of level of expectation, it probably excels. I'm going to go as far as saying it's probably a little better than people thought it was going to be.
Yeah. Well, it was meant to revitalize Hanna-Barbera after they got knocked out of their domination of the 70s.
They did a better job than they had in the past, and they seem to be sort of determined to show their animation had advanced a little bit. Hey, sit down. What's up, buddy?
How you doing, Stan? Yeah, they needed to show that they had saw what the competition was bringing and they could match and exceed it. They just didn't have any new characters, so they put the old ones in new situations. It worked out pretty well.
I want to thank all 8 people watching. Please hit the like and follow button. You've reached the post-cartoon analysis where Jeremy and I try to figure out what we just saw. This time is not as mind-numbing or as horrific as some of the cartoons we've watched. It's actually decent. We have seen some shit, people. I would say Teen Wolf cartoon was easily the most mind-exploding, eye-hurting, ear-destroying, just terror that we've ever saw. And this, on the other hand, this was relatively pleasant. It's not Popeye, but it's pretty pleasant.
Yeah, not quite classic Popeye, but you don't really get Popeye out of everything. The classic series of these both, though, I'd personally put above Popeye.
The reason I could say it's equal or better than Popeye is just this. There is, because of the way things worked out, there is so much bad Popeye. There is a lot of bad Popeye. Classic Popeye, though, fucking great.
Yeah.
Like Fleischman Popeye, amazing stuff.
Yeah, they're all A-class stuff. It's just a matter of taste when you get down to it, which one you want to personally put up top.
No, I get it.
And I am partial to Hanna-Barbera.
I'm just going to go with Fleischman Popeye because when I was really, really, really young, they only had a limited amount of cartoons that were made in the time of the cartoon being the dominant form of children's entertainment. They had only realized that. Scooby-Doo starts in 1969. That's like the first modern cartoon, and that's Hanna-Barbera coming out of nowhere, even though they had probably existed before then. I don't know where they came from or what they did, but maybe the Department of Defense cartoons or those very simple cartoons. These were simpler cartoons. And you can see by watching it, they're simpler cartoons.
Well, actually, they come out of Merry Melodies. And because both Joseph Hanna and William Barbera worked on Tom and Jerry.
And LDG, thank you. That makes sense. You can see the Tom and Jerry DNA in there. Tom and Jerry, a lot of long pauses where you would bloat the runtime with the cat freaking out, like, with one static shot of him just like his eyes popping out or whatever it might be. The zoom in, zoom out while his eyes pop out. We did that a lot. Tom and Jerry is like much simpler. It's not as good as other stuff from that same cartoon maker. It's good, but it's not great. Also, like Tom and Jerry, things could always come back, but you know the deal with Tom and Jerry, right?
What particular?
It's istophobia, or perceived or otherwise, the istophobia of Tom and Jerry and the 3 changes.
I never got that.
Short story long. Tom and Jerry, occasionally there's a woman who's an antagonist, right?
Yeah.
She owns the cat and she doesn't want the cat doing anything too nuts like eating the mice for whatever reason. And she just basically you see a plump pair of legs and she has an Irish accent, right?
Half the time, yeah.
And the other half the time, she has a regular, normal American cartoon voice, right?
They sort of bounce around from the Northeast Irish accent to Southern.
When
They varied it up a bit.
it's a white accent though, right?
Half the time, yeah.
Okay, so
Sometimes they go to the Southern Black
okay, that's the original.
housewife.
That's the original. That might even be like a less horrible version of the original. They had to change it a few times. Tom and Jerry was considered to be like hyper segregationist by audiences of its time and briefly thereafter. Like the Overton window of the black female character being Mammy like and talking in weird did she talk in weird phrases like a 19th century cartoon antebellum person, or did she talk normal and just have that accent?
Talk normal.
All right, so we're
Or what was
starting
normal
out.
for 1950.
We're talking about what's normal for like 1890 with like a crazy terrible English like Popeye kind of enunciation. The legs were always black. It was supposed to be like a black woman. She was I think shown to be a maid or a servant, and that's why she had that like weird indifference towards whether the cat or mouse won, and just wanted to preserve peace and quiet and some kind of status quo. It was very strange. And the first thing they did was paint over the legs white, and that calmed it down a little bit, but people were still offended. Like there was actual, I don't know if people showed up with protest signs, but like people were like, what the, and there was talk and people did say things about it. Whether or not it was driving and needed to be changed, I don't know. But it got to the point where they themselves found it embarrassing and they changed it to, and get this, it shows you when they changed it. They thought it would be funnier and easier to give an Irish accent to the idiot female character. So no one even stops and thinks, like, this is the levels of how America goes demented, right? At first, they find it offensive, but instead of running it with a disclaimer, the first fix is also kind of going to need to be fixed. Then fix number 2 sucks all the heart and soul out of it. It's just like a whitewashed white legs with like a bland but offensive, I would say equally offensive Irish accent. And now change number 3 is in effect, but you don't see it much because people gave up on Tom and Jerry, which is why you don't see it a lot, which is white legs, white American accent, but still dumb.
Oh, you see Tom and Jerry a lot out there still. Almost as
I
much
don't-
as you do Looney Tunes, but that's
Okay,
more.
I'm not. It's me being me then, honestly.
Yeah.
You've seen all
reason you
3
don't see
iterations
as
of
much
what I
of it
described,
is
right?
because it's technically owned by Warner Brothers now.
Not to mention each iteration of change has different levels of like rights, copyright, and ownership, and I don't think they bothered keeping very good track of it. And at any given time, whoever owns Warner Brothers may or may not own every single right to every single bit of it either, or want to be bothered to pay out the royalty for anything else. Like they probably have full license to show any Tom and Jerry they want or make a new Tom and Jerry cartoon. Just that's the story. Tom and Jerry came to be regarded as like, and some of the people who had a problem with it were shown to be jerk offs too. Like Bill Cosby was a big hater of this.
Yeah.
No one's that concerned with his being offended anymore.
Yeah. Tom and Jerry's biggest problem is they're owned by the same guys that own Looney Tunes.
They don't want to
get right
self-compete.
down to it. Yeah, they don't want to self-compete. They know
they're
both
similar.
big names, but they are very distinct. If you start throwing Tom and Jerry in Looney Tunes, people are going to have a problem with that, and vice versa.
You can't mix and match because you have Tweety and Sylvester owned by that woman as the counter to Tom and Jerry, which maybe Tom and Jerry might even have been a copy of. We had that drama going on with Tweety Bird and Sylvester and the female owner. And that owner is always just an old lady with an old lady American voice. Don't
Yeah,
ask me
Granny
how,
is
but this is the
Granny.
one.
Has been Granny
Is
since
Granny.
the 40s.
And there's nothing weird or fucked up about her. She hasn't had to be changed. It is interesting to see how our country has changed and how people's sensitivities have changed. You watch Tom and Jerry. When does that come around? 50s? They had to be shook out of the
Early
other
50s.
regime. Yeah. And they weren't the oldest, most stalwart people. Hanna-Barbera came in there probably a little later on for Generation 2 and did some Merry Melodies stuff. And they just like had backers. I guess they managed to find backers. It's kind of like the guys who did Ren and Stimpy breaking off from Ralph Bakshi.
Yeah, they slowly developed past the whole Merry Melodies crew and everything like that.
Well,
They're always
in
in
the
good
meta,
standing with them. It's just that they had bigger plans, bigger ideas, and they went their own way.
they were also mass producing cartoons at a time that like the Merry Melodies people were compressing their old wartime serial cartoons into things that were watchable and doing stuff like whitewashing the owner of Tom and Jerry.
Oh, Tom and Jerry was actually 1940, not 1950. So they outdate
Late 40s or 40
good
on the nose. Did Tom and Jerry
1940.
exist? Wow. So Tom
February
and
10th,
Jerry.
1940. So
All right.
they are older than the large chunk of Looney Tunes.
But
I
not
think
Bugs Bunny,
it's
who's like 1930.
Bugs and Daffy are older.
Bugs and Daffy are just a little bit newer than Mickey Mouse. But the thing is, that 15 years made such a huge goddamn difference. I don't know why, but maybe you can explain this to me. Why do all of them wear gloves?
It's an animation thing. See
Or is
the
it,
larger circles and the pronouncement of the gloves.
is it because it was
100
very,
times
very
easy. 100 times easier and cheaper to draw it that way
animate?
than it is to actually get a hand.
Next question. Was it acceptable because at that time people simply wore them even in the summertime, which was true?
Yeah.
You had a
No
pair
one,
of
no one would
gloves
think twice about seeing someone wearing a pair of white gloves,
in
especially in
August.
higher society. Yeah.
In August.
Yeah.
You might just put them on when you went out. Also, like people like you and I had a pair of like gloves that were somewhat utilitarian, like a baseball batting glove, right? Batting gloves, right? We would have a pair of those that we just used them while we took the subway. I think that was normal. I think that was common. And the weird thing
Yeah.
there is that when we see World War II movies, no one uses gloves for shit. They climb up ropes up the side of a mountain using their bare hands in a way that's insane. No one uses gloves for shit. And then when we see combat footage from now, everybody's got gloves on. Our guys
Yeah.
wear tack gloves everywhere all the
Yeah.
time.
Tag
And
gloves.
cops wear them. And cops wear them.
Yeah. Back in the day, gloves weren't exactly meant for great grip.
They
You
had
have,
construction worker gloves meant for climbing,
yeah,
even in World War II.
more of the handling the weapon part is where you'd have trouble.
I just don't
It
believe
doesn't give
we
you
have
the
accurate.
dexterity to work a firearm.
I don't believe we had accuracy in movies that show guys climbing without gloves. I think that somebody in World War II still had a pair of gloves.
Well, I'm sure they had gloves, probably multiple types of gloves. It's just that they're
Seasonal.
not. That's not going to Yeah, it's not going to translate to a movie because it's not something they use all the time.
It should have been in the movie I'm thinking of, because movie Longest Day about the D-Day invasion, there's one group of guys who are specially trained to climb a mountain. And what they do is they have special landing craft that crash into the edge of the beach and fire fucking ropes up the side of the mountain. And then they just climb up the side of that mountain, right? It was Pont de Hoc. And the point of the whole story is just this. You can't tell me those guys didn't get gloves. They trained for that for a year.
Yeah, in that situation, they would have had gloves.
Yeah. Come on. It was a 90-foot 90-degree angle.
I don't really remember seeing that movie.
The movie is portraying accurately, but in a bad pre-method acting and in what is actually a very cheap for its time movie. The Longest Day has horrible mistakes in the first 5 minutes, where the first 5 minutes should have been edited out. The guy walks past the blue screen, and the blue screen image fails for like a whole minute. It's just gray behind the guy, and then the blue screen image comes back. It's crazy. You should have just lost that moment and did a voiceover. I don't know why they released it with that. A lot of radio-controlled airplanes on fire kind of thing. But the majority of it was simply because they had the army of, I think, France or the National Guard of England, or both, cooperating with them to provide like the kind of shots where it's like, at some point they flew a helicopter down the beach with the camera pointed at a 45-degree angle, sort of down and ahead, and we see like thousands of guys charging out of their mock-up landing crafts, and it looked real enough because the shot goes on for a minute.
Yeah, I guess if you have access like that, you're gonna really milk it for everything you can.
It was the only thing they really milked it for. Basically, the best part of the movie is Captain Pike 1.0, because Jeffrey Hunter does some heroic stuff, which is why I always say the Overlord invasion is an away mission and with time travel. But yeah, that movie needs a remake so bad. Saving Private Ryan deals with the first 20 minutes deals with a basically eye level, dog's eye, and worm's eye view of that invasion. But it doesn't get into Saving Private Ryan is deeply inaccurate because there was no medical care on the first wave.
Yeah, accuracy wasn't really what they were going for in that.
No, they weren't. But although if you take out those medics, you have more or less what I think it probably looked like to be on that beach and in that area. We fucked up. The tides pulled our ships towards, pulled the landing craft 2 miles off course towards like the murder, kill, death zone.
Yeah, something to watch if you've never seen it before.
It's not a well-made movie, but Saving Private Ryan is. Longest Day, not as well done. But yeah, the prevalency of gloves at this time seems to be pretty high because all cartoon characters have it. Germ outlined the reason why they have it, in the cartoons, and then we just talked about like how in real life we don't really see it. But if you think about their world, it's pretty filthy. I live in a city where a lot of the buildings made before 1930 have a shit stepper. I call it a shit stepper. I don't know what else to call it. At the top of your stoop, there's a blade of iron, and it's to scrape the horse shit off your shoe.
Yeah, gloves were very, very common until probably the mid-50s.
I would say after World War II. They start to go way before World War II because people have no goddamn money.
Yeah,
and also the
after the war, they slowly phased out to the point of the mid-50s and the whole atomic family thing and all that sort of stuff. Gloves just fell out of fashion.
Think of what else. Well, it's not that they fell out of fashion; it's that they were no longer useful. Think about what else fell out of fashion. The prevalent fuel before World War II, coal. The prevalent fuel afterwards, petrol, oil, gasoline. So like we're talking about like their world was a world so filthy that you needed. I mean, think about this for a moment. Think about the 1920s. Think about a gangster. Think about everything that a gangster wore. Now, not a Star Trek gangster, but a real one. Shoes, right? Spats. You needed spats and overshoes. You see this in cartoons and you see this in pictures and you see this in World War II, guys. They had those weird things that connected your pants to your shoes so that your pants wouldn't blouse out. The world was too dirty to walk around with open-legged pants. Everything had coal smoke. There was a layer of coal dust everywhere you walked. You stirred it up when you walked down the street. It got everywhere. You wore a coat. You wore a coat over your coat. It was called an overcoat. You wore overshoes and spats. You wore gloves, and you had to have a hat because the subway could throw a piece of burning coal down into towards your face. That was their world.
Yeah, 100 years makes a lot of difference.
In their case,
But,
like 10, 35 to 45, like a woof, turning of a page.
Yeah, we are going to have to wrap it up here, though. Teague, you have anything you want to shout out before we go?
Turn me on tonight at 9:30 U.S. Eastern Standard Time. Hopefully, Germ will be with us. We'll be doing Star Trek Enterprise. The episode for tonight is Acquisition, so we'll see some familiar-looking actors playing some familiar-looking aliens.
Sounds good. And should be back on this channel on Tuesday, hopefully, for Andromeda and Cleopatra. Thursday should be a nerd night, and next week we'll have another cartoon. I'll have a poll for that up tomorrow.
I'm back, too. I'm out of seclusion. The popularity contest is over, and I don't have to talk about it.
Thankfully. And hopefully everything on YouTube starts to become more normal-ish.
Well, one of the things
last month or two.
One of the things you and I had anticipated didn't happen. Days and days and days of trying to see who won while people got angrier and angrier. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, that seems to have solved a lot of problems.
That did solve a lot of problems, and we found out that people can handle this a little better. Aside from some tear-drinking meltdowns, it hasn't been all that bad.
Yeah. A crushing defeat tends to mellow everything out a lot more than just the narrow squeaker.
Defeat doesn't cover
in
it.
Sports. Even
Defeat
in
doesn't
sports,
cover it.
Yeah.
You're trying to wrap up, so I won't take too far, but
Yeah.
defeat's not the right word. This was a rejection. This was a rejection of everything that one side of the platform had to offer. Everything. It was a complete and total rejection. This is a course correction. It's not going to stay exactly the way people voted. The other side or people who aren't part of that coalition are going to get their heads together and they'll have a better message, or they won't. They'll be back, but they have to walk away from what they were about, or they're going to fail. Now, if I had to guess, I would say odds-on favorite is that they just run Harris and learn nothing from this, but that's me.
That is how the betting odds are going. But
is that how the betting odds are going?
She's 3-2 to be the next nominee.
The thing is, if they have an actual primary, it's like 1 in 100. We've seen people talk circles around her very easily. Yeah. Very easily. You or I could be the nominee if we had to debate her. It could be you or I. We could very easily talk circles around her and make her look bad. It would be so. The thing was not how empty she was, but how easy it was to make her look bad, outmaneuver her, or leave her at a loss for words. She was the worst messenger of the worst message. It all came together at once. I stand by that, though. I think they'll run her again, like you said.
Yeah. But we have 3.5 years for those betting odds to change. So
it would be nice for people to have a sit down with themselves and look in the mirror and say, let's look at what the reality is and what the best way to read. Hey, Cody guy, you're welcome, buddy. The best way to to go out there with a competing vision that's still good for America, because you just got rejected. That wasn't a defeat. That was a rejection. I don't know. Do you think I covered that right?
Yeah, pretty much. And I think all the calm and whatnot, easier to deal with huge loss than it is just the tiny squeaker. Even like in sports,
there's no what if.
You accept it more. Yeah, you accept it more if your team gets blown out than you would if they get beat by a last-minute buzzer.
This actually makes the Yankee-Dodger thing make the Yankees look heroic. They won one game. They were leading in a couple. They were very competitive in one another game. They almost won the first game. I mean, compared to what we saw in the election, you could cope hard about the Yankees and you wouldn't look as crazy as someone trying to say that this election was anything but a blowout. Like I said, I don't think anybody who's upset with the outcome should be too sad, because pragmatism tells you that the other messengers will come back with a less terrible message, or they're going to be in retrograde forever. We'll find out. Stay tuned. Just got to wake up tomorrow to find out.
Yep. Get your betting in done early so you can move those odds.
Or
thanks for stopping by, everybody.
Just
Take
don't
care.
drive yourself crazy. See you on the next cartoon.